Let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully more people will get online or come in. I noticed when Jen's when Jen's conducting, the room's full. Yeah, I see how this is. There's 4 people online. There was 36 last week. Anyway, welcome to the sales meeting. There's a couple people online. Those that are here that are agents, do you have any wants or needs that are online or in person? Nothing. Crystal, you have anything? She's gone.
Oh, there she is.
There she is.
There she is.
Do you have any wants or needs, Crystal? Or your events or anything?
No.
She's still connecting
Oh,
to audio.
She's got a page. Things like you guys. And that's so bad. My goodness, are you?
Oh,
I love that show.
me too. All right. Crystal, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Sure, right here in the parking lot. We're not having a fun Friday in January. Sorry, kids. We've got the awards banquet. But in February, we have a super fun Friday, which we're going to a thing called Just Add Chocolate. And we're going to be making our own chocolate. And it's super exciting. It's on February 10th. So you guys can come and make chocolate sweets for your loved ones before Valentine's Day. And that's at noon. And we're gonna meet here at the office probably at like 11:45 and then drive over. But it's gonna be a yummy treat, and it's gonna be fun, like all of our events. And then we've got some fun things planned and through like the rest of the year. Also, they are selling rodeo tickets for the Strawberry Days right now, and we're trying to still sit in the same section together. So if any of you want to attend the rodeo or get tickets for your clients, they do have to be prepaid in advance, and you can reach out to me or Casey, but she doesn't know about that yet. And then we'll just make sure that you get your tickets. They will be non-refundable. So if you buy them and then change your mind later, sorry, you're gonna have to find someone to buy them off of you. So anyways, that's it. Lots of fun things. And here's to a happy 2023.
When is that rodeo?
The rodeo is on June. Hold please. Let me look at my calendar. It's on June.
They must have to, apparently.
It's on June 17th. Last year it sold out. It sold out last year. So June 17th.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Crystal.
Okay, I'll be in a second. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Any other announcements or needs, gratitudes, celebrations, anything? Did you notice we put new tables and chairs in here? Yeah, we want to be able to fit more people in here, so we had to slim down a little bit. I don't know about that couch though. Do you guys like that couch? 2 of you could sit there, right? To get the couch.
You guys think they're parents?
All right. Our broker moment. Let's talk about that. So the new status on the MLS is the active no show. And what it means is that if the listing is not ready to be fully marketed and or shown, you should still submit the listing to the MLS within 5 business days. However, after entering the listing into the MLS, you can place it in active no show status. What that means is that no show listing status stays on market. The active no show listing status, the days on market will not accumulate. And photos are not required. And the listing will not be visible on utahrealestate.com or on any IDX websites either. So you can put it up there, a no-show status. Yeah.
What if you have a listing and then you moved it to no-show status? Will it just pause those days on
Yeah.
market?
It pauses it. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. It's the new way and a better way to do things that we found. Yeah. The only other alternate option is to use the exclusion form, which y'all know how to do that, right? Fill that out, so. Okay, any questions on that? Any other comments? Rob, you got anything to add on that? Y'all know Rob, by the way?
Hi, Rob.
I'm gonna introduce Rob every meeting. Everybody say hi to Rob. Hi, Rob. On Rob? Oh. Okay, no. In fact, that's what this says is you cannot have a sign in the yard, you cannot market it on social media or do flyers.
Okay, so.
Well, there is a flip to this, because we're on the no-show, so for example, let's just say your client they're sick, they got COVID or whatever. No, the MLS does not expect you to go take the sign down, because you moved it to no-show for that to be the case. The whole purpose of this is to keep up with the clear cooperation on a new listing. And so, yes, if you're trying to market the property for 2 weeks before it's available, that's where you're gonna have a problem. So people put up a sign in the yard hoping to get calls, and then they don't put it on the market. But if you put the home on the market, it's there. The client has guests coming in for 5 days, whatever. They don't want to show the property. If it's in the no-show status, it is not to be shown. You're not setting appointments. You're not doing any of that. And no, they do not expect you to have to go take the sign down during that period for that 5 days when they're sick or whatever. So that's the only thing that you cannot do. You cannot have any other marketing that you're doing otherwise.
What about the exclusion from the MLS? Can you have a sign out in the yard?
So a MLS exclusion, that can only be done, no, that one, absolutely not. If you are doing an MLS exclusion form. And you have a sign, you have any public marketing within 1 business day, it has got to be put on the MLS.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
I don't know what I did, I can't remember, but I might be in trouble.
Well, the whole intent.
Yeah. Yeah, stay after class and we'll talk. Okay. Right.
The whole intent, of course, is to avoid all that stuff that was happening. You know, people were trying to double end things. You know, they were trying to do whatever they can to get both leads and before going to the public. And the problem with that, this is the part that people don't understand, is as your fiduciary duty, you have an obligation to put your client's interests ahead of your own. So when I was sitting back thinking, okay, well, I'm trying to pre-market this property. How does that benefit your client? And that's where
It's when you're wanting, like, I had a listing that I'm trying to, they don't want to now sell it until April because for tax purposes, and it's a new build.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, let's take it off and we'll reset the days on market if we have it off for 120 or 60 days, whatever.
It's 30 days now.
Yeah, that seems too, right?
I don't know if they've made it officially, they're working on it, unfortunately.
So we pretty much paused the listing, but the sign's still, like the construction sign
New
still.
construction has a little bit different
Okay,
criteria.
so I might
So new construction's a little bit different. They have some other
might be legal.
abilities to do things than just a traditional sell. But yeah, the times when the whole public marketing thing that exists as a brokerage, we could have a company website that says, hey, we're going to only market this to our company. That can be done, and you are not violating clear cooperation. But that anything that goes outside of the company would be considered public marketing. That's where it has to, within 1 business day, it has to be put on the MLS. Now, for those situations, let's say it happens. Let's say that a client says, hey, I know I need to sell my house, but I don't want my neighbors to know that I'm moving right now. And I don't want it to be advertised everywhere. Okay, well then in that case, it might make sense for a MLS exclusion form to be done, where it truly is only being marketed within the company. But at least the client understands, I understand that I'm not going to be able to get as much exposure, and they're the ones that are wanting it. That makes perfect sense,
Yeah,
but otherwise, it typically doesn't.
Right, moving on. Next week, education, Monday's a holiday, Martin Luther King Day, so we're closed. Do not expect to get paid, do not expect us to be here. It's not gonna happen, okay? Just like over the Christmas, on our closed days, we're really closed. And you guys don't believe it, but we are. So I'm telling you, we're closed on Monday. You try to call, Jen and I and Rob probably answer our phone for you, but the staff won't be here to process stuff. So if you have to get things in, plan ahead.
Which is a good reminder. So say like you got earnest money that's turned in on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday closed. So if you've got earnest money thinking, oh, I got a couple days to get that turned in. You gotta be prepared for that.
Use Earnest app, right? They don't close on holidays.
Call me.
Okay.
The banks will be closed on Monday, but Saturday, if you need a deposit, I'll give you.
You come to traveling title. There you go.
On Saturday.
On Saturday, she's saying. Okay. It does. The app works good. People love it. And we're happy to talk you through the app. Yeah.
Anybody had issues with clients that work with, that have been with Mountain America using that app? Using Earnest?
Are they having problems?
Well,
I haven't heard of any yet.
that was an ongoing issue where
Mountain America West.
everything with Mountain America would always. It would often have problems, and so we have them working on it to find out what the problem is.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if you had.
Okay. So you can see on this calendar, our Tuesdays and Thursdays classes are no longer scheduled. As life happens, people make decisions, and Cheryl Knowlton is not with us anymore. And so her classes are canceled, and we're looking to reschedule. She does still want to honor our Presidio discount for classes, coach, whatever she's got her designations and classes that she does do. So you can still take advantage of that. But meanwhile, we're going to be picking up where.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Steve Perry still teaches on Thursdays sometimes, and we do teach
He
some
doesn't?
CE classes.
I
on
know he
Thursdays.
doesn't.
So,
I know for a fact Steve Perry's not teaching on Thursdays.
I mean, Press Perry, sorry.
I have to
Don't
give her
tease
about
me.
that.
Oh, gosh. But we do have some CE classes, so make sure that people still keep looking.
Yeah, Stephen Pressberry is still doing stuff. Yes, but he's headed to England, so they recalled him back. No. Anyway, they're going there for family stuff. All right, congratulations to last week's closers. We had 21 closings. So congratulations if you're on this list. That's the other part of it. All right, are there any other announcements that we haven't made that we need to make? Rob, you have any announcements? Rob's our COO of the company, by the way, if you don't know that.
Thank you, for sure.
Okay, so
The coup.
as we said last year, that we are going to do our affiliates moments that we will be giving extra time, and this week the extra time will be going to Security National. We're gonna do her last because I don't want Corey to feel that he gets to take extra time if she goes first. So we're gonna do Corey first, actually.
I was here last night. Was it last week? Like I had 100 people here. I swear it was. Right? It's like that's just. What did I say last week? I said it's just like the gym. It's like now nobody's showing up anymore.
Oh, I know, right?
Like, what the heck?
That's bull crap because the gym's still full right now.
That's true. Like at least give us some.
Right?
So here's what we're handing out today. We got everybody at Elevate our phone stands. So when you put your phone on this, just think of us. Okay, think of me specifically. Okay, is that cool? Or Elevate, either one, but mostly me. So you're welcome for that. And then also just a couple things. We're handing out our plan. But two things that is very unique to Elevate, I'll talk really quickly about is our inspection protection. You guys have heard me talk about this a little bit, but if we get a full-blown inspection, that's actually from a real inspector, can't be your brother-in-law that's a contractor and it's on a Word document, it has to be a real inspection. We honor that inspection. So what that means is not only that, but if the inspector missed something, then we will actually still cover it. So let me give you an example of something that we cover what are called unknown, undetectable pre-existing conditions. So the best example of that is a water heater that has it's working, it's no leaks, but it has rust on it, right? Super common. A lot of homeowners companies will look at that and say it's pre-existing because that rust happened before you close, and they won't cover it. We're different, we'll cover it still. So not only that, but if you, especially with HVAC, you see this a lot in water heaters as well. Past its useful life, you've seen that in an inspection, right? I get this call all the time. Do you still cover that? No, and I always say absolutely, as long as it's working and the inspection says it's working. I actually got, that's Corey. I got a call from, yeah, is that really it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a time limit, what?
Code this month, New Year, $50 off.
Okay, good job, Corey. Wow. All right, is OBO online? Tana, is OBO online or? I bet
I'll be on, not.
they're meeting with me at 2:00 today, so
I don't
he's,
see that.
yeah. We'll explain that later. Okay, and no IBEX, right? All right, let's go to traveling title. When are you no longer traveling title? Okay, good.
So for class title experience, give us a call. My number is 801-830-9215. And we are excited about the future.
That's all you're gonna say?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Corey.
That took most
All
of
right, what up, First Colony?
After loading up like 30 seconds. Because of the news.
Yeah. Everybody's pissed at Corey.
I know I was gonna be in charge. I printed too many of these. This is just a graphic that one of our.
Wow, you want me to?
Sorry, but yeah,
Yeah, you can keep up with me.
Yeah. It's all the same.
Oh, it's all the same.
It's a group stroke, guys. It was just something that one of our colleagues shared on social. It kind of shows a market difference between 2021 to 2023. Just shows differences. I mean, payment is a little bit higher, but maybe not as high as your clients think. So kind of a fun graphic to share.
Awesome.
There you go.
Don't you have something else to add?
What did you want to add? Something?
There's the two special things in the mortgage world happening.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, maybe you better whisper it to our next.
Sorry. You're looking for.
It's okay. Interest rates dropped 2%.
That's what we great. Okay.
Well, you know, be careful about those.
No, we never cared about them before. No. So hopefully tomorrow we get some news. Okay. Come on up, Security National. You get extra time. Absolutely. I'll even let you stand.
Security National. And I think I want to talk a little bit about, I'm sure you've heard already the buy downs that are out there to help you with your payments. So this one is just a flyer, a breakdown of one for you. So you can kind of understand the cost. We also have a calculator. If you want to just give me a call, we can run it through whatever, any sales price that you have or down payment. But we're here for you and we're here to help you. So please let us know.
So I have a question.
Here about OBO is we have professional property too for agents as well. So,
There you go.
okay.
I have a question. Like, what if your client is being offered 10,000 towards whatever they need? How do you help them decide like where that 10,000 goes? Buy down or?
I ask them how long they plan on being in the home first. If they're gonna be in the home and this is just the first time home, they're gonna move in a couple of years. I would say utilize it for closing costs.
Okay,
Unless they're tight on ratios and they need that buy down.
gotcha.
Any other questions? Well, I look forward to working with you.
Wow, thank you. I mean, that was shorter than Corey even. So, wow. Imagine when Corey gets extra time. Oh my God. Right, I know. He'll just go on and on. Okay, so our educator for the day is gonna be our one and only Kyle Beers. He's talking on, says no more waiting, how to reignite the fire in your life. That's a big topic, dude.
I've changed the title since then, but
Oh, okay, let's hear it.
we'll still go with it. Just find your Phoenix.
Find your Phoenix.
decision making.
Okay. All right, Kyle, there you go.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone, those here and on Zoom. Looks like there's a good handful of you. And I will be done by 11 o'clock. I want to make sure you guys have the time to do the things that you need to do. So decision making. I want you to imagine 6 months from now. Assuming that you already have your annual goals in place. In 6 months. Can you imagine yourself? Pipeline full. You've been making the phone calls you need. You've been marketing. Everything in your business is starting to run the way that you want to. You're going to hit your annual goals. How does that feel?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Awesome. You're excited. That's where I want you to be. But I also know that life happens and things can change. Decisions come to us. And sometimes we get in the gooey middle. It gets hard to decide. Today, we're going to talk about why making a decision and running with it, even if it feels awkward, is the best option. And then give you tools as you go through those rough or stuck moments to rise through those challenges and make it to that point in 6 months where you're like, yes, this is working. And so that next year you're celebrating because you've hit all of your goals. On the handout, online or in person, I have 3 sections. The first section is what makes you feel stuck right now. So maybe take a second and write something that makes you feel stuck.
Right. Do you need one? Kissing.
There's something here. When we printed it, the format was a little funny. But when we set annual goals or resolutions, they should stretch us, right? And maybe there's some things that make us really scared about it. That's what I want you to write right now. While you're writing that, I want to share a quick story from a friend. And they gave me permission to share this story. They're a single child and their mom had passed away a long time ago and their dad was getting ill. It's towards the end of his life and they had this impression, you need to talk to dad about how the inheritances work. We're like, okay, this week's really crazy, we'll do it next week. Well, next week became a couple months. A couple months became, dad was sick. We don't want to have that conversation when dad's sick. What are we going to do? Well, dad ended up going to the hospital. We're like, great. But we can't have that conversation right now. The doctors checked everything, ended up being just fine. Okay, you're good to go home. Like, let's get you to your home. Yay, we get to go home. We're excited to go rest in our own bed. If you've been in the hospital, you know that excitement. Like, yeah, I can go rest in my own comfortable home. Well, between the time that they were given that announcement and the wheelchair came with the nurse, dad had a stroke. He didn't make it home. They never had that conversation with their dad about how the inheritance was going to work. So instead of being a couple-hour conversation that they could have had any time right after dinner or on a Saturday, even though it's an only child and everything would have been pretty easy to figure out, it became a several-month-long process. Their indecision led to a lot of extra pain and stress while they're grieving the loss of their dad. Just like that, there's uncomfortable conversations we have to have with our clients, with our partners, with our significant others, with ourselves. And sometimes that's not very fun. Going into a personal experience of mine, when me and my wife were having our first kid, our first girl, I was applying to dental school and I had spent 10 years plus with this dream that I was going to be an orthodontist. That's the only reason I was in college. And I had applied and the baby came and no offers came to interview. Hon, what are we going to do? This is my dream. This is how I want to provide for our family. I see myself doing this. but I know that we need to provide for the family too. I don't know, Kyle. That's pretty tough. But it's kind of your decision. Okay. Well, let's graduate. Let's provide for the family, do the right thing. Let's run with that. And I gave up my dream. I chose that path. And in the moment, it seemed like the right idea. But then as I graduated and became an environmental health scientist or a health inspector, I started inspecting restaurants day after day after day, realizing I'm not living that dream. What do I do? There was an unmet expectation in my world that gave me feel shame and guilt. I didn't realize how much shame or guilt that would be until a couple of years later. We had our second daughter. We bought a house. And I was mowing the lawn. And it was a nice warm day. The grass was smelling good as I was cutting it. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow move. There's a dog that's going to attack me. What my mind told me. It's just a shadow of a tree. It's okay, Kyle. Just breathe. Keep mowing the lawn. And I get a tap on my shoulder. Who is it? I made fists and turned around and almost hit my wife. I froze, dropped my hands. I'm so sorry, hon. What did you want? Kyle, I just wanted to let you know that dinner's ready. Are you okay? No, I don't think I am. Hon, I'm so sorry. We hugged, we talked it out. She fed the kids. But for the next 45 minutes, I was hyperventilating, freaking out. Why is this going on? I hadn't connected that it was giving up my own dream. And so I went to counseling. And in talking to a counselor, there were some realizations that came across. I realized that I was living in a comfort zone and hitting my head against a wall. Now, comfort zones can be very useful. We're in the real estate industry. We're raising the bar on the real estate industry. We're helping people get into their homes so they have a place that they can have comfort and peace from the craziness of their jobs, the world, everything else. That's when it's good. But when your ego's involved and things aren't meeting expectations and you're trying to force something that's not working, that's not a good place to be. But even worse is sitting there waffling, deciding, should I stay there or should I do something else? And that's where I was. And for me, that looked like suicide or divorce. In talking to the counselor, we talked suicide off. But I didn't understand what divorce meant to me in my head. I understood the legal dividing of our marriage. And we talked about that. I don't want that. Okay, if you don't want that, but you feel drawn to a change in your life, what do you need to change? I know. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you, counselor. We talked about it, and luckily I had a coworker that was a really good friend. He said, hey, I'm going hunting next week. Come with me. Okay, let's go. I've never gone. This could be. As we talk about awe and fly later today, that's one of the keys that makes awe and fly work, is having a good friend and working on your mindset. Me and him headed up the mountain. We talked about life. We talked about marriage. We talked about jobs. And this is the thing that stuck out to me. Kyle, I know you're going through a hard time. I know that you've decided that it's more important to stay here than to quit. Thank you for that. But just remember, we've worked for the county. And if you quit there, they're going to have somebody else hired in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, you're right. This job, as much as it helps you provide for your family, isn't that important. Your family's more important. What can you do for that? Like, you're right. So what do I need to do? I got looking at some other jobs and got into real estate. And I thought my wife was on board with that. And we rolled with it. I was driving to a temple and was still weighed down with some of this guilt and the shame. And it came to me that divorce was the answer. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But all this light and this alleviation came. I learned that night, don't tell your wife that that's the inspiration you got. Unless you listen to the cat. I did try to reassure that I didn't understand what that inspiration meant. It was just my mind was trying to tell me, go down this unknown path. It's going to work out. It's going to be okay. This is a really long story or build up to why you need to make decisions. It did turn out that divorce was the answer for me and her. Partly because of some things that she's dealing with, that she's moved on with. But being at that low for a second time in 2 years, I was like, what on earth? How does this even work? And so I came and talked to one of my trusted friends, Jen, our broker. We had this wonderful conversation. She's like, I know you're going through a lot. Some of us have been there. But I also know that you're really strong because of your heart and you're going to get through this. Okay, we're going to get through this. So I was walking down the hall, and as I was about to leave, I noticed on the big mural out here, this beautiful picture of this waterfall with some pine trees and some palm trees, which who doesn't love that combination, flowing into the ocean. It's like, whoa, this is really cool. So I came back in, Casey, do you know what picture this is? No, I don't. I can't quite see it. Can you describe it? So I described it to her. She's like, that sounds really cool. Like, do you know how I can find out where that was? She's like, maybe St. John's knows how to do that. It's like, Google's faster. So I started to Google it. It's like, Google waterfall into the ocean. And this picture came up of Big Sur, California, McQuay Falls. The divorce wasn't quite finalized, but it's like, okay, as soon as this was finalized, this is the trip that I'm going to go on. And I did. Ended up in Monterey for 2 days. And in the planning and preparation for that, I missed the fact that this is like a 1/4 mile hike. So I had like a backpack, it had the water. I'm in Monterey, which is known for like Pebble Beach and golf. And I was joking with my dad, hey, I'm going to be in Pebble Beach. He's like, don't you dare play that course without me. But here's a couple other courses. So I went, did the hike. It was beautiful. Kind of got me in the sense of like, okay, Kyle, you're here. You're doing something that's important for you. And then went to go play this course, and it was really fun for me as a golfer, but me as a nature person, the back nine was all on the ocean. So I could see the waves crashing on the rocks. I could feel the cool breeze of the ocean. And in doing that, I started to really think about the world outside and not my inside. It's like, I still have a day left to be here. What's something that I can learn? How can I get curious while I'm here? Well, aquariums are great places to get curious. There's all these creatures that live in the ocean that I don't know about. And I went to the aquarium. And while I was at the aquarium, I saw these little shrimp that made salad shrimp look like king prawns. You can barely see them, they're microscopic. It clicked. These little shrimp, as small as they are very important to the whole entire ecosystem. That makes it so that I have air so that I can breathe. I am loved. I am cared for. I'm always worthy and enough. Ah, that's an emotion I read in a Brene Brown, or Brene Brown? That's her name. Yeah. In Atlas of the Heart, she talks about awe and wonder. Awe, it's on your paper, is always worthy and enough. whether it's God that you believe in or source or energy, watching those little microscopic shrimp reminded me, after having gone through these terrible, awful things, that making a decision and choosing to get curious about things, I am always worthy as well. And that's what I wanted to share from that point on, is that you are always worthy and enough. You're worthy to fight those challenges. You are a warrior. You are strong. And even if you don't feel enough, you are. So in 2 months or 3 months, or that really hard deal that you're facing, you can do it. You've got this. You're prepared and you're ready. And you might have to stretch your brain. You might have to go to Jen or Steve or some other person that you trust as a wise friend to help you see the problem in a different light. But you are worthy and enough. As I've been working on that challenge, I was talking to a friend. It's like, divorce is really weird to go through. And there's different emotions that I felt, but now that it's done, I feel like a bird in a cage. The door's open, but I don't want to leave. And they're like, well, let's talk through that. Why don't you want to leave the cage? Because I feel safe in this cocoon that doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so how are you going to soar? I don't know. It's easy. That's the easy response, right? We know, but we don't want to face the challenges because it's unknown. Like, well, I went on this solo trip, but maybe for me right now, it's try and go on one date or try to write a book, because I feel like this experience isn't a solo experience. Like, there's a lot of people that have gone through my experience. So great, those are two good things. You're taking care of yourself and you're doing something to benefit others. Great. In our conversation, I've heard, you've got to love yourself first. It's like, since we're talking about birds and loving yourself, what if it's first love yourself to fly? If I can fly by first loving myself, setting goals that will help me have purpose, setting marks that I want to achieve, doing things that may not look sensical to anybody else, like flying out to Oregon just to go to a football game to fly right back home. But when that's a football game that I wanted to go to for several years, even though it looks very different because I thought it was going to be a whole family vacation, that's how you fly. And maybe it feels selfish to set annual goals that you want to make $1 million or you want to have 20 transactions, or maybe it's just 3 because you are comfortable with that. Whatever it is, set those intentions, set those goals, and start attacking them. Or at least consistently getting towards them. I'm pausing partly so that you can write down how you can fly and how you can remember that you're always worthy enough. And I'm partly pausing because I realized that I still have 15-20 minutes. And I've run through a lot of stuff. Sometimes life can be very challenging and very difficult. I shared a couple of stories where that's the case. And in your life things that have been challenging and difficult. But you've also seen the victories. On days when it feels like everything's just off, write down those victories. Take 5 minutes, 15 minutes. We're not always going to feel like we want to do it. Even watched a TikTok video of Mel Robbins yesterday. This is the day when I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And she jumped in an ice bath. She's like, I'm only going to be in here until I can calm my breath down. And as soon as she did, she's like, okay, I'm out. Today, it's not for the 5 minutes. Today, it's for the 15 seconds. I did it. Count those victories. Count those moments when you were courageous. You made that call even though you didn't want to. And if by chance you're curious in that call, even though you didn't want to be on it, you never know how it can impact the person on the other side. Maybe you're the agent that they were looking for. Maybe your partner that you were calling had a lead that you never would have known about. And they meant to call you, but they got busy with some other conversations. It's in that action, that step towards your goals, where faith, hope, and courage come together and create power. It's in those moments when we don't feel like doing it and do it anyway, that the universe or our internal self, something goes, I believe it and I'm doing it. I can keep doing it. The other day I was having one of those days. I didn't want to do it. I didn't know how to make it look the way that I wanted to. And so I watched a friend's funeral instead. Not my friend, their dad had passed away. I didn't know their dad. I might have met him at their house once at a party in high school. It just didn't click for me. But I knew his daughters, and as their daughters talked about the legacy of their dad, it struck me that as many people knew him in business, it wasn't about his business legacy. It was about the person that he had become. Raising the bar for him was showing up every day. Raising the bar here is about showing up every day. That's what raising the bar is. That's what being your best is. That's why we're here, is we want to do our best. And maybe it looks messy. Maybe it looks not complete compared to what we had wanted. But it's showing up and getting to that stage. And then once we get to that stage, creating a bigger stage. I was watching Jen's post yesterday about their fancy luxury team photo shoot. How fun is that? When I joined Presidio, everybody in the brokerage could fit in the conference room here. There was like 20, 30 agents total. It was pretty small. And now it is a massive force for good in the real estate industry. It's not an overnight success without years of progress and showing it consistently, courageously. Maybe it's not $1 million business today, but if you're making that consistent effort right now, it can become that. If you don't decide, it's never going to happen. I'm gonna end a few minutes early. Those that are here, feel free to come up and we can talk one-on-one. When I was younger, I came across this poem by Robert Frost, and as I've looked into it, he was writing it as a joke to his friend that he would walk with. Now, they would come to forks in the road, and his friend would be like, "Oh, we should go left. No, we should go right." And Robert eventually was like, "Dude, let's just go. Like, we're in New England, it's fall, it's great. Let's just go on our walk, enjoy it. We'll get home." And I wish I had it more memorized because, of course, it just escaped my mind. It's called The Road Less Traveled. It's pretty popular. Some of you are familiar with it, I'm sure. My brain's trying to recall it, but I don't. Anyway, the premise of the poem is that there's two paths. And I want to go down this one path, but this other path also looks like it could be good. You know, I would go down that path, but I'm going to go down this other path. It looks less trodden by, even though they're both kind of the same. And years from now, I might regret taking the path that I did. But I know that I committed to that, and that has made all the difference. I have a really good friend who's an orthodontist, has a beautiful wife and a beautiful family. I've joked with myself and with some family members, I could be jealous of that friend because he's living the life that I wanted. But I chose the path that I did, and I committed to it. And it hasn't been easy, but I know that it's the path I need to go down. As you commit today and tomorrow, and in a month from now, and 3 months from now, I know that you can reach your goals 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 and 10 years from now. And that will make all of the difference. Your daily steps will create the life and legacy that you want to leave. Thank you.
Dan, things for you, Kyle?
Sure.
I'm just kidding.
No. There is a question in the chat. We'll go there. Oh, whoa. Ah. Okay, that's not a comment. It's just the word bio. Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna let you out 10 minutes early. How does that feel? Thanks so much for being on today. Have a great week.